The Demon-Possessed Nun, Dark Secrets and Sacrifice. Brother Gabriel was a young monk who lived in a quiet monastery. He was kind and cared a lot about his faith every day. He prayed and helped the other monks. Gabriel had a secret fear. He often worried about strange things that happened at the monastery. Brother Gabriel's fear was a silent companion, a shadow that lingered in the corners of his mind. It wasn't a constant terror, but rather a low, persistent hum that grew louder whenever the monastery was unusually quiet. The creaking of floorboards, the rustling of wind through the ancient trees, the distant echo of a bell. These ordinary sounds could become terrifying, distorted into ominous, otherworldly noises. One day, a new nun came to live at the monastery. Her name was Sister Celeste. She was very beautiful and spoke softly. Everyone liked her right away, but Gabriel felt something was not right about her. He saw her walking alone at night and heard strange sounds coming from her room. Gabriel tried to ignore his fear, but he couldn't stop thinking about Sister Celeste. He wanted to understand why he felt uneasy around her. Little did he know, this would lead him into a very dark and dangerous place. Gabriel started to watch Sister Celeste more closely. He noticed she went to the chapel very late at night. Sometimes she would stay there for hours. Gabriel felt a shiver every time he saw her leave the chapel with a strange smile on her face. One night, Gabriel decided to follow her. He moved quietly, making sure she did not see him. Sister Celeste walked to a part of the monastery that was old and rarely used. Gabriel hid behind a wall and peeked around the corner. He saw Sister Celeste open a hidden door. She went inside, and Gabriel could hear strange voices. It sounded like a whispering crowd. Gabriel felt scared, but knew he had to find out what was happening. The next day, Gabriel tried to ask the other monks if they knew anything about Sister Celeste's strange behavior. But they just said she was very devoted and had a lot of prayers to do. No one seemed worried about her. Gabriel decided to go back to the hidden door that night. He wanted to see what was inside. As he walked towards the door, he heard footsteps behind him. He turned quickly, but no one was there. His heart beat fast. He felt like someone or something was watching him. Gabriel returned to the hidden door, trying to be very quiet. He slowly opened it and went inside. The room was dark and cold. He saw strange symbols on the walls and candles burning on a table. Just as he was about to move closer, he heard a noise behind him. Gabriel turned around and saw Sister Celeste standing in the doorway. She looked at him with a calm but creepy smile. "Why are you here, Brother Gabriel?" she asked softly. Gabriel was scared but tried to stay brave. "I wanted to understand what you're doing," he said. Sister Celeste did not answer. Instead, she walked towards him slowly. Gabriel quickly turned and ran out of the room. He could hear her footsteps behind him, getting closer. Gabriel ran through the dark halls of the monastery, looking for a safe place to hide. He was out of breath and felt like he might be caught. He ducked into a small storage room and locked the door. Inside, he tried to calm down and think. He knew he had to be careful. If Sister Celeste knew he was watching her, she might try to stop him. Gabriel decided to keep his investigation secret from the other monks. He had to find out more without getting caught. The next day, Gabriel felt very nervous. He worried that Sister Celeste might know what he was up to. He saw her looking at him from across the courtyard, and he felt a chill. He knew he had to be very careful. Sister Celeste seemed to know that Gabriel was watching her. The next day, she acted even more strangely. She began to avoid Gabriel and made sure he saw her doing ordinary things, like praying or cleaning. Gabriel felt confused. He was sure something was wrong, but he didn't know what to do next. Then, he heard a rumor among the monks. They said there had been a terrible event. A small animal had been found dead in the chapel, with strange symbols drawn around it. Gabriel felt a deep fear. He knew the symbols were like the ones he saw in the hidden room. He decided to go to the chapel that night to see what was really happening. When Gabriel arrived at the chapel, it was dark and quiet. He walked carefully to the place where the animal was found. Suddenly, he heard a noise behind him. It was Sister Celeste, and she was not alone. A few other monks were with her. Celeste smiled and said, "Brother Gabriel, I am glad you could join us." Gabriel's heart raced. He realized too late that he had walked into a trap. The monks looked at him with suspicious eyes. Gabriel tried to explain, but they did not believe him. They thought he was spreading lies about Sister Celeste. Sister Celeste's voice, though foreign, carried a chilling undertone. The monks, their faces contorted in a grotesque blend of fear and reverence, moved with a synchronized, almost mechanical precision. Gabriel's heart pounded in his chest, the rhythm echoing the heavy footsteps closing in around him. He glanced back, his eyes widening at the sight of the towering, imposing walls of the abbey. Trapped between the relentless monks and the unforgiving stone, Gabriel felt a cold dread settle in his bones. His mind raced, searching for a way out. The only option seemed to be a desperate leap over the wall, but the height and the uncertain landing below filled him with trepidation. Gabriel managed to escape from the chapel, but he knew he was in serious trouble. The monks were now suspicious of him, and Sister Celeste was even more dangerous than before. Gabriel had to be very careful. He tried to find out more about Sister Celeste's activities. He sneaked around the monastery at night and looked for new clues. Gabriel, heart pounding, crept through the dimly lit library. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and dust. Moonlight filtered through the stained glass windows, casting eerie shadows across the towering bookshelves. He'd been searching for days, poring over dusty tomes and ancient scrolls, hoping to find a clue about Sister Celeste's mysterious activities. Tonight, he believed he had finally struck gold. A particular book caught his eye. Bound in worn leather, it was adorned with strange, unfamiliar symbols. The title was inscribed in a language he didn't recognize. Curiosity piqued, he carefully extracted it from the shelf. As he flipped through the pages, a chill ran down his spine. The book contained tales of dark rituals, forbidden magic, and ancient entities. The illustrations were grotesque and disturbing, depicting twisted creatures and horrifying ceremonies. Gabriel's blood ran cold as he realized the connection. The symbols on the book were the same ones he'd seen on Sister Celeste's personal belongings. It was clear now that she was deeply involved in something sinister, something far beyond his wildest imagination. A sense of dread washed over him. He had stumbled upon a secret that could be deadly, but he knew he couldn't ignore it. He had to confront Sister Celeste and expose her evil deeds. The fate of the monastery, and perhaps even the world, depended on it. Gabriel thought of a plan. He decided to gather evidence against her. He went to the places she often visited and took notes about everything he saw. He even tried to take some photos, but it was very hard to do it without being caught. Sister Celeste seemed to know what Gabriel was doing. She started to make things harder for him. She moved the hidden door, made the old book disappear, and made sure the other monks watched Gabriel closely. Every time he thought he was close to finding proof, something went wrong. Gabriel felt frustrated and scared. He was always one step behind. He realized he needed help. He tried to talk to the other monks about his concerns, but they didn't believe him. They thought he was just confused or jealous of Celeste. Gabriel's efforts seemed to lead nowhere. He was trapped in a game where Sister Celeste was always in control. He had to find a new way to get the truth out before it was too late. One evening, while Gabriel was feeling very defeated, a new person arrived at the monastery. He was a man named Father Lucas, a priest from another town. He came to the monastery to help with some church matters. Father Lucas was kind and seemed very wise. Gabriel decided to talk to him about his worries. At first, Father Lucas listened carefully and asked many questions. Gabriel felt hopeful that maybe Father Lucas could help him. The next day, Gabriel noticed that Father Lucas was spending a lot of time with Sister Celeste. They seemed to know each other very well. Gabriel felt confused and worried. Was Father Lucas working with Celeste? One night, Gabriel followed Father Lucas to a different part of the monastery. He saw Father Lucas and Sister Celeste talking together in a secret room. Gabriel hid and listened carefully. To his surprise, he heard them talking about a plan to stop the demon from hurting anyone else. Father Lucas was actually a skilled exorcist. He had come to the monastery to help because he had heard about the strange things happening there. Father Lucas and Sister Celeste were not working together to harm the monks. Instead, they were planning to fight the demon that had taken over Sister Celeste. Gabriel felt a mix of relief and new fear. He realized that Celeste was not evil herself, but was controlled by a dangerous force. He now had to work with Father Lucas to find a way to save Sister Celeste and stop the demon. Gabriel and Father Lucas planned to confront the demon that controlled Sister Celeste. They decided to do it in the hidden room where Gabriel had seen strange things before. They hoped that by facing the demon there, they could stop it for good. One night, they prepared everything they needed: holy water, special prayers, and a book with instructions for the exorcism. Gabriel felt nervous, but also determined to help Sister Celeste. They went to the hidden room together. The room was dark, and the candles were still burning. Sister Celeste was sitting in the middle of the room, looking very calm, but with a strange, dark look in her eyes. Father Lucas started to say powerful prayers and sprinkled holy water around the room. Sister Celeste's face began to change, showing signs of the demon's anger. She screamed and tried to fight the holy water. Gabriel felt scared, but stayed close to Father Lucas. He helped by reading from the special book and holding the holy water. The demon inside Sister Celeste grew more furious. The room felt very tense and cold. After a long and intense struggle, the demon finally began to weaken. Sister Celeste's eyes showed signs of relief. She seemed to be fighting to regain control of her own mind. Father Lucas kept praying, and Gabriel continued to support him. At last, the demon was driven out. Sister Celeste fell to the ground, exhausted but free from the evil force. She looked at Gabriel and Father Lucas with gratitude. The room was quiet again. Gabriel felt a deep sense of relief. Sister Celeste was safe, and the demon was gone. But Gabriel knew that this was only the beginning of healing and recovery for everyone involved. After the demon was driven out, Sister Celeste was still very weak. Father Lucas said that the only way to truly protect the monastery was to make a special sacrifice. This sacrifice was needed to make sure the demon could never return. Gabriel and Father Lucas talked about what needed to be done. Father Lucas explained that the sacrifice had to be something very important and personal. It was a way to show true commitment to stopping the evil. Gabriel felt very worried. He knew that someone had to make this sacrifice, but he didn't want to lose anyone. Father Lucas said that he could help, but it was important that Gabriel understood what was at stake. Father Lucas gave Gabriel a choice. He could either give up something he deeply cared about or make a personal promise to protect the monastery forever. Gabriel was torn. He wanted to protect the monastery and help Sister Celeste, but he didn't want to lose something valuable to him. After thinking carefully, Gabriel decided to make a promise. He vowed to always be vigilant and to protect the monastery and its people. This promise was a heavy burden, but was the best choice he could make. It meant he would always be on guard against any new threats. Father Lucas accepted Gabriel's promise. He said that Gabriel's commitment was a powerful sacrifice that would protect the monastery and help everyone heal. Gabriel felt a mix of relief and sadness, knowing that his life would now be forever changed. Sister Celeste began to recover slowly. She was grateful for Gabriel's bravery and sacrifice. The monastery started to return to normal, but the events had left everyone with new lessons about faith, courage, and sacrifice. Life at the monastery slowly returned to normal. Sister Celeste began to heal and was grateful to Gabriel and Father Lucas for their bravery. The monks tried to forget the dark events, but they always remembered the courage shown. Gabriel kept his promise. He stayed vigilant and continued to protect the monastery, but sometimes he felt a deep unease. He knew the demon was gone, but he could not shake the feeling that something could still happen. Father Lucas eventually left the monastery, saying that his work was done. He wished everyone well and promised to return if needed. Gabriel thanked him, but he was left with mixed feelings. He appreciated the help, but worried about the future. One night, Gabriel walked through the quiet monastery grounds. The moonlight cast long shadows, and he heard only the gentle sounds of the night. As he walked, he noticed something unusual, a faint, dark figure moving in the distance. Gabriel's heart raced. He couldn't tell if it was a trick of the light or if something new was beginning. He felt a chill, but knew he had to stay strong. The demon was gone, but the feeling of uncertainty remained. Gabriel looked around and saw that the monastery was peaceful for now. He took a deep breath and decided to stay ready, just in case. The story of the demon and Sister Celeste was over, but Gabriel knew that he must always be prepared for whatever might come next.